Hey, cool cat. Welcome to Mental Health Music Lessons with Imanni Music. I'm so glad to be with you today. We're going to be talking about the violin and how to tune it with itself. Sometimes we don't have a piano nearby or a tuner nearby. So we're going to figure out how to take this little one, pluck the different strings on it, and be able to change its tuning so that's in tune with itself. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks so that you'll be able to play violin anywhere, no matter if you have a piano or a tuning device with you. And here's Bay, just strolling around. She was all in the violin case before. Okay, so for the sake of my cool cats out there who have perfect pitch, and perfect pitch means that you can listen to a sound and know exactly the hertz that are happening, which means the wavelength that's going on with that sound, or you can actually just know what letter it is because your mind has associated that sound with a specific type of letter, the same way that we read the alphabet and read words on paper. That's what happens if you have perfect pitch. However, for if you have that, I have tuned the A string with a tuner just as a form of reference. Hey, bae. Hi. And we're going to be tuning the rest of the strings using this reference string. So if you watch my previous videos on TikTok or on YouTube, you might have seen us talking about singing a pitch and being on unison with that pitch. Unison means that you're singing at the same exact wavelength as that pitch. In this case, we're actually going to be looking at some different types of intervals, but unison is a great way to make sure you're in tune with a friend or family member or just acquaintance or someone else that has an instrument that you want to be in tune with. So they may give you a pitch. For example, they may say like, A. That might be their pitch. They may play that on an oboe, or they may play that on their cello or something like that. And now you have to tune your A string to that A. So in this case, they're tuned exactly the same, but feel free to watch that unison video to better understand how to find the exact pitch when trying to find a unison. So on a violin, hi, on a violin, the strings are tuned in fifths, which means that there is a do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, sol distance between the notes, between the strings on a violin. We're going to be using this to find different pitches on the violin. On the violin, to go from this note to this one is a fifth. To go to this one to this one is a fifth. And to go to this one to this one is a fifth. However, if you go down, going from your E string to your A string is a fourth. And down from your A string to your D string is a fourth. Your D string to your G string is also a fourth distance. When you're going up, intervals is different than when you're going down intervals. Let's tune our D string with the A string. So as we talked about, when we're going down, we're going to be going down a fourth. So I'm going to sing some solfege to find that fourth. If you want to learn more about solfege, please watch those prior videos. So, do, do. So I'm singing it at a lower register, which means that I'm singing it octaves lower than this note. And we're going to sing do, do, ti, la, sol, right? Sol. Now I'm going to bring that sol up because it will sound closer to this note. Sol, sol. So I need this note, ba, 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 to sound like ba, 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 sol, 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 sol. That's our wrong note. We need to get that wrong note to our sol, sol, sol. So I'm going to take this wrong note and I'm going to bring it down to see if it's low or high. So, 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 so. And there's our right note. So, so, so. Well, now it feels like I'm even further away from that note. So instead of going down, I'm going to go up. Finding the intonation, which means finding the right pitch when you're tuning, is all about experimentation. So now we're going to go up. So I'm just sliding my voice up. So if you ever do a little game of doing whoa, as if you're on a roller coaster and you're like woo, right? So we can do that to help us find specific pitches on the violin as well. You want to start changing your pitch using your fine tuners, especially when starting. For the sake of teaching, let's start out with these fine tuners down here. So do. So when I turn it in one direction, you're going to hear its pitch go up. So it went up a little bit because these are fine tuners. They move it up, as we say, incrementally, which means a very small amount of change. So as you can see here, for this one tuning peg, it's very low. And actually, if I try to continue turning, it's very difficult to continue turning. That's a sign that that tuning peg, that this fine tuner has been turned to its limit. So whenever that happens, I tell myself, okay, I've turned it way too much. So I'm going to turn it out so that it gets higher up, just like that. I'm not going to turn it too far or it will leave the hole. Okay, so now it's back to that pitch and we still need to bring this pitch up. So let's go to our scroll and go to our pegs now. When you're tuning using the pegs, you're going to go to your string and you're going to want to trace your finger up that string all the way up here, and then until you get to this point. And you want to continue tracing that string all the way until you get to the point where the string is connected to the peg. And at that point, you know what peg is attached to that string. And we can see that is this peg. You can also test if that peg is attached to that string by playing the string and moving the peg. Ah, it's attached. Okay. If you're in a situation where you actually cannot move this peg, then you may need some peg oil. And peg oil lubricates, which means that it adds some moisture, which you can't use any type of moisture when it comes to wood. You have to use this peg oil. And it adds moisture to the peg and this thing, which is called the scroll. And because of that moisture, it allows the peg to move left and right more easily. But please take your time, because if you try to apply a lot of force to these pegs, or if you notice that there's splintering, or if you see wood seams or wood lines coming out of your peg, that means that your peg may be about to break and you may need a new peg. Putting in a new peg is not difficult, and I'll show you how to do that in the easy way, nice and straightforward. A lot of people try to make it seem like it's a difficult process because sadly some store owners want you to not learn. They don't want to teach you how to actually do it. But thankfully, I've had some wonderful teachers and some wonderful store owners in my life who have showed me a lot about violins and taught me a lot, which has helped me be able to teach you this as well. So now let's use the pegs to change the pitch. Do, do, ti, la, sol. I'm going to hold out this sol, and I'm going to turn the peg so that this pitch goes up. So, do, do, ti, la, sol, sol. Let's see here. Do, do, ti, la, sol, 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 sol. So I'm noticing that this pitch is actually too high. Sol, do, do, ti, la, sol, sol. When I get a little bit closer, I like to use the strings themselves to help me out afterwards, because we're getting close to the pitch, but we're not exactly there yet. A way that you can test if your D string is in tune with your A string is by playing the note A on your D string. You can do this by putting one finger down here, your second finger down there, your third one right next to your second finger, and then your fourth finger down. You'll notice that the distance between these fingerings is that there is a whole step or a full finger length apart between the first and second one. There is no space between the second and third finger, and there is a full finger length between the third and the fourth finger. So I'm going to just play from here up from D to A. So in order to do that, I'm going to sing Do, Re, Mi. Things are falling around me. But Bay's not here, which is very ironic. So I'm going to sing up from Do to Sol, using this as Do. Do, Do, Re, Mi. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, Sol, right? Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol. And now I can play that A and see if it is in unison with this A, which is not. This is higher than this note. Do. So I have Sol, and I have this one. Sol, Sol, Sol. So I need to bring it down to Sol. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to actually do that with the peg. So I'm going to bring this peg down. As you can see here, if I pits or pluck both of these notes at the same time, they sound almost the same, which means that we are super, super close to getting them both in tune. The last step to getting your notes in tune on the violin is to play both of these notes. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that fingering before that we did for the D string. And we're going to play the A string and then the D string. And then we're going to play them together if we don't hear any difference. Okay, these are almost exactly the same. The only thing I do is slightly adjust the fine tuner. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. This may take you some practice in the future, but what you're looking for is a nice tone, a nice sound that is not too bright, but is not dull. So many times on violin, when it comes to tuning, we think of the sound either being between two strings being bright or dull. Brightness typically means that the notes are really... It's a very hard concept to explain. It's all about the wavelengths, though. When two strings sound bright together, it may simply mean that the notes are just so close together, so close to being perfect that it sounds kind of scratchy. Actually, it's a strange concept. But dull in sound, for example, if I get this a little out of tune, this would be described as more of a dull sound. This means that they're very close to being in tune, but there's enough out of tuneness that the out of tuneness is a little bit further away than it was before. I know these words may sound a little bit confusing right now. As we talk more about violin and we go into playing different strings together and the different distance between the strings, these words will make more sense. Thank you so much for watching this violin tutorial video with Imanni Music, part of our mental health music lessons. I hope that now you'll be able to tune up your violin wherever you are, especially and at least the A and D string and be able to play some music to soothe your soul and make you feel happy. This has been Imanni from Imanni Music. I'll see you later, cool cat.